Hello, everybody. This is Mike from the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. My wife Beth and I would like to invite you to join us each week as we examine life at the intersection of marriage, family, careers, and ministry. Through 28 years of ministry, 26 years of marriage, 23 years of professional careers, and 21 years of being parents to 3 kids, our fun and honest discussions promise to have something for everyone. And now, on to the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. This is Mike, and no Beth this week. Beth had a crazy busy week. She's had some stuff going on at work that's kind of kept her pretty busy, and we've just had a lot going on this week and just really did not have a night or a day even to record the podcast. And then I'm recording this on Friday. We have we as in Beth and I, our family, have access to a small home up in the mountains of North Carolina, and Josh and I just decided to get away today. So we drove up this morning. Yes, we let him skip school. We're calling it a mental health break day. How's that? I was all for it. Beth had to be talked into it. But anyway, he sweet talked her, and so she let him go with me. So him and I drove up to the mountains for one night. We'll be coming back on Saturday. But that obviously cut out Beth from able to do the podcast, which she was very upset about. But you know what? Maybe we'll do a pop-up podcast with her this week where she can just talk and give everybody updates on her life. But for today, you're stuck with me, and I have a whole list of things that I'm just going to be rambling through. So there may not be any rhyme or reason to what we are talking about. It's just kind of, it is what it is. So that's it. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to say thank you to everyone who has purchased my book. I think it's doing pretty well. I don't know how it compares to other independent published booksellers, but the reviews have been very, very nice and very gracious. And, people have read it. They have bought additional copies to hand out to people. I've got at least one Bible study group that's asked if they can do that as a study. And so, those folks will be buying the book and using it. But, it ended up, it is a book for people who don't like to read, to be honest. It's a short book. It's not War and Peace. You're not going to get bogged down with it. It is a quick read. That seems to be the consensus by everybody that reads it. One review said there's no wasted words. And if you know me, that's kind of, I like that. That's good. Just say what you got to say, get in and get out. And that's how I preach. And that's how the book is written. So it is a shorter book. It's written at a level that just about anybody can get. And there's some good stories in there. It ties in great with the message. The message being that way too often, if you're a believer, at least the believers I see in various churches and in my ministry for almost 30 years, so many Jesus followers walk around defeated. They walk around like they don't know how the game's going to end. But we do know that the minute Jesus was resurrected, the game is over. I mean, we won if you're a believer. And so the idea is, instead of fighting for a victory, which can be hard, you're out there, you're playing hard, you're fighting hard, you're battling hard. How much different would our life look like if we battled from a place of victory? An analogy that I did not use in the book, but I thought of later. I used to play adult soccer, and those in leagues, and I would play at one point at my height. I was playing at the peak of my playing. I was playing 3 seasons a year, and very little rest. And I'm competitive. And so I wanted to win every game, and we didn't win that much. We had a few good seasons, but for the most part, I probably lost more games than I won over about a 10-year period or whatever it was that I played. But there was times when we would show up to play And, pregame, you got a little nerves going, it's like, oh man, are we going to win this game? We're playing a tough team. And then the ref comes over and says, hey, the other team didn't have enough players show up, so they're going to have to forfeit. So, they'll still play you. If you got a couple players that want to go join them, we got the field, you can still play. And the ref was like, I'll still ref it like a normal game, but, it's, you guys have won. It's like all of a sudden that changed everybody's attitude. It was like you already got the win. Even if it was a forfeit, it's like, all right, well, we got to win. So we got the points and we'll move up in the standings. And you just played so much more relaxed and it was so much more fun. And I just think that's the way we should be as Christians, that if you're a believer, if you have Jesus in your life, the other team's forfeited, right? Like we should be playing like we are winners. The game has already been won. And too many people don't. And they just grind through life and they'll say things like, oh, I can't wait till this life is over so I can get to heaven. Well, I don't know. In my opinion, as soon as you start following Jesus, that's when eternity starts. It doesn't start when you're physically dead. It starts the minute you say yes, and you won. You're on the winning team. And so anyway, that's what the book encompasses. And it talks a lot about that, about how to live a life from a place of victory, not for a victory. Because I think those are two drastically different things. But the book's doing good. Like I said, lots of good reviews. I had my first sale from someone who does not know me, that knew nothing about the book or anybody associated with the book or any of my friends or family or church members. So far, everything's been word of mouth. Obviously family and friends buy it first and then they tell people and so on. But I had the first complete stranger buy it. So I'm interested to see what their take is, because it's one thing to read a book and say you like it because you like the person writing it. But, they don't know me. So let's just see what it says. So that's going well. The little comic booth is doing well. I had set a goal for the month, my first month setting up, selling comics and stuff. I was like, I'd like to make this much this month, that would, make it worth my while. And, after 3 weeks, I had already eclipsed that goal. So this first month has been really cool, and we're selling a lot of stuff, and it's fun, and it just gives me something else just to kind of hobby around with, and have a little side hustle with. So that's fun. I like doing stuff that's non-ministry related, just because it doesn't use the same parts of my brain as ministry does. And so to be able to have a little shop that is part of something that I love, which is comic books, turn your hobby into something that you can do like that. It's a lot of fun. And so it's been neat, seeing that. So anyway, that's me. Beth talked about it last week on the podcast. She is almost done writing a book. And when I say almost done, she is done. Essentially, she has given it to a couple people to read, just to see if they see anything, whether it's grammatically or theologically wrong. And as soon as she gets their thumbs up or suggestions, she'll tweak that, and then we'll be ready to go. I think her goal is to have it out and ready to publish by mid-October. So she's settled on a name for it. I'll let her talk about that when she's on the podcast. But anyway, the book is really good. I told folks at church on Sunday, if you're going to buy one of the two books, buy hers. Like, hers is so much better than mine. And I was proud of mine, but hers is better. And so as soon as her book comes out, we'll be getting that link out and getting people to buy that. And I am already started on my second book. So when I sat down to write the first one, I had 3 ideas, and I went with the one that felt the best, and I finished that. And now I'm working on idea number 2, and I'm probably 90% done or so, 80, 90% done with that. Again, my goal is to have it out. Originally, I said first of the year, but it may come out a little before then. If I can get it done by December 1st, maybe, advertise it as a Christmas gift, or do some bundles with the first book and the second book. And I have a third idea, and I'm going to work on that next spring. And then I thought when they're all said and done, taking the 3 books and putting them together in one collection, and try to weave them together. They work as standalone books, but there might be some way that I can bridge that to where it makes sense. I'm not going to try to force it, and then if people want to buy all 3 at one time, and we'll do that. But that'll probably be it. Kind of like my tattoo. That'll be it. Speaking of the tattoo, people at church were shocked on Sunday. Everybody who's seen it has been very surprised. They first of all, never thought I would get one, and I guess would never have a tattoo that large on my forearm. But it's there, and everyone has been positive about that. And, I think even if you see a tattoo you hate on somebody, you're not going to tell them. So, but since mine does have some deeper meaning, I think people like that about it. But anyway. What else is going on? Man, I wrote down some things that I thought would, we could talk about this coming, I guess, tomorrow. Tomorrow. You're listening to it today. I'm recording on Friday. On Saturday, Beth and I, we have season tickets to a Broadway series. It's the national touring series that comes around, and ours is for the Tanger Center in Greensboro. In my opinion, and Beth's, the best theater in the entire state of North Carolina. I mean, it's the newest, it's state of the art, seats like 3,000 people. There's not a bad seat in the place. It sounds phenomenal. It's just a great place to see a Broadway show. We've seen concerts there. We saw Nate Bargatze there. I mean, there's, anything we've seen there has been phenomenal. So tomorrow or Saturday, whenever you're listening to this, is Beauty and the Beast. And since my daughter is a Disney nut and a film kid in School of the Arts, I gave up my ticket so that Beth and Maria will go on Saturday to see Beauty and the Beast. And you might think, well, what's the sacrifice there? It's Beauty and the Beast might be viewed as a more feminine, maybe a Disney production, cartoon wise or anything like that. It kind of falls into, Belle, and she kind of falls into some of the other Disney, heroines and princesses and whatnot. But I'm going to be honest with you. I got to thinking about it, and this is why it was tough for me. Beauty and the Beast, the cartoon movie, is on my Mount Rushmore of Disney cartoon movies. I love Beauty and the Beast. I love everything about Beauty and the Beast. I thought it was a phenomenal Disney movie. I thought the story was great. The imaginative, you got Mrs. Potts and Chip, and you've got the bad guy and Gaston, and the music is great. Just everything about it is just fantastic. So that's always been probably my number one Disney cartoon movie. So to give that up to Maria was a bit of a sacrifice for me. But I was thinking about it this week, and I'm like, okay, if Beauty and the Beast is on my Mount Rushmore of Disney movies, what are the other 3? What could they be? And I went through a bunch in my brain, going through different stuff, things I saw as a kid, things I saw as a young adult, movies we watched with our kids, whether it was Jacob or Maria or Joshua. And I know Disney cartoon movies, kind of, you got the original animation style, you've got Pixar and some of their newer animation style. I just lumped them all together. So a Disney animated film is what I'll call it. So Beauty and the Beast is on there. And the other 3, I have Nemo. Finding Nemo is on there. Again, I think that's an amazing flick. And that may be one that holds sentimental place in my heart. That Beth and I saw that in theaters when we were pregnant with Jacob. And so, matter of fact, I think we've talked about it. We think that was the last movie we saw in a theater before she went on bed rest. with Jacob. And you know the story, if you've listened, she was on bed rest for 12 weeks in the hospital before Jacob was born. But that would have been 22 years ago. So we saw Nemo in the theaters, and you know, as Jacob was growing up, and we would watch Nemo quite a bit, and our kids loved Nemo. Cars, we love Cars and love the movie. Jacob and Maria loved it. You know, my dad is a car guy, and so that was kind of fun to have a cartoon based on my dad's number one hobby of all time. And something that was really cool is my dad took an old piston out of an old engine. And one year for either Jacob's birthday or Christmas, he actually made him a like piston cup. You know, that's the thing that they're racing for there at the end. And with Chick Hicks and Lightning McQueen. And so dad made, and Jacob still has it to this day. And it's an incredible piece of artwork, you know, which is what it is. And so Jacob still has that in his room. And then, so you got Beauty and the Beast for me, Nemo, Cars, and Monsters, Inc., the original. And so, yeah, Monsters University is just as good. But there's something about that first Monsters, Inc. that's just really special. And I know I left some off. You could argue Toy Story should be on there. Any of the 4 Toy Stories. They're all fantastic also. But just thinking about the movies that we seem to, with the kids, just rewatched over and over and over. For them, Cars, Monsters, Inc., and Nemo. Those 3 were just on replay constantly at our house, or, you know, back in the day when you had DVD players in cars, or the portable DVD players that would hang on the back of your car seat, in the front seat or whatever, kids could watch. You know, all of those things. Those were the 3. And then for me, Beauty and the Beast. So those are my 4. So if you're listening and you want to comment, you know, comment on the Facebook page. Once we post this live, let us know, you know, what's your Mount Rushmore, or what's your favorite Disney movie. I might put a handful of them on there, and you guys could take the poll and do it, or just write it in yourself, you know, however that works for you guys. What else is going on? So Maria and Beth are heading out to see Beauty and the Beast on Saturday, and Sunday morning I am flying out to Colorado. Back in the summer, I did a whole podcast on group mission trips, that was just based out of Fort Collins, Colorado. It's an organization that I have been a part of since 1998, and for the past, this will be my 4th year on the design team, helping write the program. And so back in the day, pre-COVID, when group mission trips was a lot larger, and COVID killed a lot of nonprofits, and group survived. And we talked about that a little bit on the podcast, and they're still doing their thing, although greatly reduced from where they were, but they're growing back. They had a staff of about 25 or 27 full-time people. And after COVID, it dropped down to 4. And so I think they have built back up to about 8 or 9 full-time people. But one of the folks that would be on staff that currently they don't have a position for anymore since COVID is the person who writes the programs. They would have somebody that would be their designated job, is to write the programs that are going to be performed every morning, every evening, the youth group devotions, the crew devotions, the whatever else, to write all that out and come up with all the stuff, the games, the videos, the theme, all of that. And they would work on that, and they would test it out. And I mean, they put a lot of time. It's a production. And then every camp in the following summer would do whatever that person had written and come up with. And so everybody would do kind of the same thing. And when that role had to be reduced, reduction in force, I guess that's the word people use now, due to cutbacks for COVID, they had to start basically putting together a team of volunteers. And so I've been asked to be on that team. Like I said, this is my 4th year where I've been able to sit down with a group of folks, and we've been writing the theme and writing the program and doing all of that. And there's one in particular we did that I am immensely proud of. I think it's probably the best in the history of the 40-year history of group. I mean, I loved it that much. Yeah, and the other was we've done have been good, but there was just one that I thought, man, this is brilliant. And it wasn't just me. We have a team of there's 4 or 5 of us. But anyhow, I fly out to Colorado for that. We're flying out Sunday morning. I'll be flying out Sunday morning. We're actually going to be spending a week in Grand Lake. So the other side of the Rockies, just on the other side of Trail Ridge Road. We're going to be staying over there at someone's home, and we'll be hunkered down for a few days, and we'll be working on this thing from sun up to sundown, trying to get her all done. So that's where I'll be. So I'll be gone. So maybe I'll talk about that a little bit when I get back next week, but I always look forward to my Colorado trips. I've always said if there was a state I was going to live in outside of North Carolina, it would be Colorado. I think Colorado is absolutely beautiful. In North Carolina, we have the Smoky Mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains, but you go out to Colorado and you see the Rockies, it makes our mountains look like hills. It doesn't even seem close. Like they're not even the same thing. And then just Colorado can be so different. Like we've stayed in the Rockies. We've stayed on the far west side of the state. And the part right there that borders Utah. And we've stayed over there and hit some parks and national parks and things. And it's desert and it's flat. And so there's a lot of different terrain changes there all over Colorado. But man, I just love Colorado. I love it. And I'd live out there if I could. And if the opportunity ever presented itself, I would love to live out there. So I always look forward to going out there. I go out once or twice a year, and I have for, almost every year for the last 20 some years, working with group. So it's always a pleasure to go out, and this will be my first chance this year to get out there. So I'm looking forward to smelling the mountain air and just being out there in the Rockies and experiencing that. So that's what we have going on immediately with our household and as far as travel. But group, one of the things that I do for group, or the main thing I do for group outside of helping write the program, is I get to be, they call it the MC, which is essentially other camps would call it the camp pastor or the camp speaker. And, for whatever reason, group never called the person that. They just called them the MC because you're there to kind of MC the program. I just kind of work almost like a traffic control cop, just kind of directing traffic through games and videos and music and whatnot. So I'm the MC, and I've been an MC for group for a very long time. And what happens every year is at the end of your week, everyone who you're on staff with, everybody reviews each other. And as the MC, everyone that is on staff reviews me. Not everybody gets reviewed outside of the MC and the camp director and the 4 summer staffers. They're the ones who all the staff review. But other than that, is you kind of just review the people who worked directly with you or for you. But I get everybody. So I get, depending on the size of the camp, I would say the average camp has about 10 to 12 volunteers on staff. The one that I did this summer in Elizabeth City was a little bit bigger. It was, I think, counting the summer staff, it may have been close to 20. And I say this with as much humility as I can. I am always the top or one of the top rated MCs at group every year. And they grade you on a 3-point scale. What used to be a 5-point scale and whatnot. But anyway, they grade you, 3 is exceeded expectations, 2 is met expectations, and 1 is did not meet expectations. And then I guess, of course, you can probably give a 0 also. So I guess it's a 4-point scale. But I'm almost always, I am the average is 3.0. It just happens. And I take a lot of pride in what I do. And I think after I've done it as many times as I have, and I'm involved as much as I am, it comes naturally to me. But I'm going to say this. I got my reviews. They send out the reviews at the end of August. And of course, you don't know who said it. They'll just say, all right, here's what they gave you on a scale up to 3. And here was the comments that they wrote about you. So everybody has to grade you and then do a comment. And so I get mine and I start going down the list, and it's, very complimentary. And I'm, again, very appreciative. And it's just good. It was validation that, okay, I didn't waste a week of my life. But then this year, out of the 20, I had 2 2s. So 18 3s and 2 2s. Now, the 18 3s, some of the people who wrote stuff was like unbelievable. I mean, it's stuff that you would want to print out and hang on your mirror whenever you're feeling bad about yourself to read, because it was so encouraging and supportive and thankful. But do you think I have thought 1 second about what the 3s have said about me? No. I have done nothing but obsess over the 2s. Now, one of the 2s doesn't make any sense. They gave me a 2, which means I met expectation. And then in the comments, you would have thought I was the second coming of Gandhi. I mean, they just went on and on about how great it was working with me and how prepared I was, and that camp loved me and I couldn't have done any better. So they gave me a 2. Now, maybe that's somebody that just refuses to give anybody a perfect score. Maybe they're just like, you know what? He's not Jesus. He's Gandhi, but he's not Jesus. We can't give him a 3. That one I could almost live with. But the other one, they gave me a 2. And in the comments, very complimentary. But then at the end, they typed something, they wrote something to the effect of, could have communicated with the staff more. When I read that, I'm like, I'm not even sure they understood my role. I don't know if they understood anything I did that week. Because if you go and you read, first of all, it's not my job to communicate with the staff. Like, my job is to communicate with the campers. And they're supposed to be judging me on, did I do my job? Did I communicate to the campers effectively? Did program go well? Was I energetic? Was I kind? Was I all those things? My connection with the rest of the staff is like a bonus. Like, I know MCs personally that all they do is focus on their job. And when they're not doing their job, they're in their room, they're looking over the program, or they're taking a nap. I mean, I am as involved as you can possibly be with the staff. I led staff devotions every night. I think I had at least lunch or dinner or even breakfast with every single staff member. And so that one just got me, because I'm just like, what more could I have done? Like, first of all, I'm not even supposed to do that. And second of all, like, what did you want? So that's just like, it's just, and Beth is the same way. We talked about this. Like, she can get a review. She teaches some classes at Wake Forest, and we've talked about that and on the show. But she'll teach some classes, and she'll get reviews back from her students at the end of the year. And, every time, just like a group, they're great. But occasionally she'll get the one that will be good, but it won't be perfect. And it will drive Beth crazy. And I don't know if everyone is wired that way, or if it's just her and I. I don't know what the issue is, if it's a pride thing. But I would just love to know, like, what was it that we didn't live up to your expectations? Like, maybe you came in with unrealistic expectations. I don't know, but I don't know. I just want to kind of get that off my chest. Maybe this was my therapy appointment. I hadn't been to a therapist in a few months, so maybe this is what I need today. It's just to kind of unload that. But, well, I mean, I don't know. What about you? I mean, do you ever feel that way? Like, you just 100 people can say something good to you, and then one person says something. It might be negative, or it might be just slightly negative, or it could be perceived as negative. And that's the thing you just can't let go. you just focus on it and you just like, I don't know, you want to defend yourself. And it's so stupid because I know the job I did, and the folks at group know the job I do, and that's why they keep asking me back. And so it's not like my job is even at risk, but it's just that, man, I did this really well and still it wasn't good enough. And that's ministry. Man, no matter what you do, sometimes in ministry, you can do your absolute best with the absolute best intentions, and people are still going to find fault with you. And anyway, maybe that's why it gets to me. Maybe it's a trigger for me, out of all my years of church stuff. Just, I don't know, but I know that's stupid and I'm rambling, but that's just kind of how it goes. So Josh and I were driving up to the mountains today, and we were I was catching up on a couple of my podcasts. Two that I listen to every week is the Dusty Slay podcast and the Nate Land podcast with Nate Bargatze and Dusty and Brian and Aaron. And Dusty was telling a story of working somewhere and meeting a girl, and I don't know, he kind of liked her, maybe she liked him, and it never went anywhere because he kind of didn't pursue it. And he was like, and he's married and kids and very happy, but he was like, you just wonder, like, as a teenager or a young adult, if you had made one small decision, like, would that have changed the whole outcome of your life? And so I told Josh a story I had forgotten all about until this morning when we were driving up here. And I'm going to go ahead and say it's in no way, shape, or form have I ever thought that this could have changed my life forever. Maybe if I was in a different situation, but in that point, it was just kind of a funny girl I dated kind of story and how it came about. And that's really the point of the story, is how I ended up going on a date with her, and then kind of the after effects. But I thought it was funny, and I shared it with Josh, and I was like, maybe I'll share it on the podcast, because I don't even know if Beth has ever heard this story. She probably hasn't. But when I was still in college, I was working at a sporting goods store, and there was one Saturday, this girl came in. She was my age, shopping, wanting to buy some shoes, some athletic shoes. And so, I was helping her, and, I was flirty with her, and she was flirty with me, and, super nice girl. And found out she lived in Burlington, which was, it's a town about 30-40 minutes from where I was at or so, and Burlington, North Carolina. And she lived there, and she had her own place. She had, got her own apartment, and I was still living at home with my parents. So to me, it was like, oh, wow, that's groundbreaking, And I guess we were both, I'd say 20, 21 at the time, something like that, probably 20. But anyhow, ended up selling her some shoes, and she was in town shopping, hitting a bunch of stores, and she stopped at ours, bought some shoes, and she left. And after she left, my manager, Doug, was like, hey, that little girl seemed like she was kind of sweet on you. And I was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, did you get her number? And I'm just not, I've never been good at just ask, like when I was single, like, hey, can I have your number now? And I was trying to tell Josh this. Josh was like, well, that's hard to get people's phone numbers. I was like, yeah, but all of you are on social media now. Like, you all have TikTok and Instagram, and you all share that with it's unlimited. Like, it's just there. Like, you might as well just write it on a wall. And a lot of people do. I know, Jacob has had girls pursue him because they saw his picture on Facebook and they friended him, or Instagram, and they friended him or followed him, and then sent him a message, and they get to talking or whatnot. And, so I'm like, yeah, but like, this was hard. Like, we're talking like early mid 90s. Like, there was no like texting, there was no social media. It was just, If you wanted somebody's phone number, you had to ask for their phone number. And that phone number more than likely was going to be a landline. Not many people had cell phones back then, at least where I was. And so Doug's like, "Hey, did you get her number?" I was like, "Nah, I didn't. I was too chicken." He's like, "Oh man, you gotta get that number." I'm like, "Well, it's too late now. She's already left." And Doug said, "No, here's what you do." And he's told me this plan with such confidence. I think maybe he must have done this a time or two. He said, "What did she buy her shoes with?" I said, "A credit card." He said, "Easy then. We're gonna pull the credit card. We're gonna get her name. You're gonna call the credit card company. You're going to tell them who you are, who you work for, and that you just had a customer come in and buy something, and they left their credit card in the store, and you need to contact them to let them know that you have their credit card." I was like, "Are they just going to give me that information?" Doug's like, "Oh, yeah, they'll give it to you." Now, again, this is 30 years ago. Obviously, we were a lot more loosey-goosey with people's information back then. Now that would never happen. But so sure enough, I called the credit card company. I gave them that story. And I was like, "Hey, I need to call this lady back and let her know I have her credit card." So they gave me the lady's number. They're like, "Absolutely. Here's her number. Here's her address in case you want to mail it to her." Like, they just gave me everything. They probably would have given me her social security number if I'd asked. So I call. She doesn't answer. I leave a voicemail or answer machine. Say, "Hey, this is Mike from the athletic store, and I sold you some shoes, and, I just didn't know if you'd like to go out sometime," something like that. So I give her my number. So she ends up calling me back, and she's just like, "How did you get my number?" And I'm like, "It's secret. Yeah, company secret. I can't tell you." And she's like, "Well, I would love to go out with you. That would be awesome." And I was like, "All right, great." So we set up a date. And so one evening I drive over to Burlington, and I show up at her apartment. She answers the door. I go in, and she's finishing getting some stuff. And I'm looking around the apartment, and there's like baby toys. And I was like, "You babysit?" And she just kind of laughed. She's like, "No." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "That's strange." And I was like, "You got some like nieces and nephews or little brother, little sister?" She was like, "No." And then she would like put two and two together. She's like, "Oh, the toys." And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Yeah, I guess I should have told you." She was like, "I actually have a 2-year-old son." And I was like, "Oh." And she was like, "Does that bother you? I know a lot of guys are scared off by that." Because again, this girl's like my age. So she's 20. And so, yeah, she would have had this kid at 18. And I played the nice guy. I was like, "Oh, no, that don't bother me at all. That's fine. Great. Yeah, that's awesome. You're doing well for yourself." And so we went out and had our date, and I took her back home and dropped her off and went back home and never talked to her again. So, judge me if you will, but that was the case. So that's what that story wasn't. Obviously Mike was maybe a jerk back then, and I just wasn't ready for fatherhood at that point. So, or to be somebody else's dad. But I should have probably been more honest with her. But I was 20 and stupid and very immature. And, but the point of the story was just the credit card, like just getting the girl's number and how easily the credit card company just gave it out. That was the point I was trying to make to Josh, and he thought it was funny. The guys that are listening probably think that's humorous. The girls, the ladies, you're probably rolling your eyes and being like, "Yeah, why is Beth even with you?" But, when you're young, you're stupid. I dated another girl in high school, and this was kind of odd. Like last year, what's this year? 2025. So 2 years ago, I guess. The girl I dated, she had her she was like a year below me in school. And so she had her 30th high school reunion like in 2023. And her and I had a very on again, off again relationship in high school. And we date for a while, then we break up and date for a while. You know how those high school romances are. And there was one time when I broke up with her to start dating somebody else. There was another girl that I liked in my class. And so I broke it off with her and started dating her. And anyway, those things never end well. And so I haven't thought about this in 30 years. Like, obviously, I don't even know if I've even talked to this girl. Barely. I don't even know if I've talked to her since we graduated. But we're Facebook friends, and she messages me out of the blue after her 30th high school reunion and is like, hey, I know this seems weird, but I went to my 30th high school reunion and I ran into so-and-so there. And this is that girl that I had broke up with, this one girl A with, to go with girl B, go on a date with her. And she was like, yeah, we were talking, and what happened there? Like, what were you, like, she's bringing, this is literally over 30 years later, and she's asking me to recall events and what was going on in my mind that would like cause me to break up with her and date this other girl and whatever. And I was like, look, I was a 16-year-old guy that was really stupid, like most 16-year-old guys are. And I'm sorry if I hurt you or that other girls. I didn't mean to. It's all me. It wasn't you. It wasn't her. It was all me. Like I was just a dumb, brain dead 16-year-old punk boy. I mean, that's it. And she wrote me back and said, well, thank you very much. That was good to hear. Thank you for saying that. But I'm like, golly, like, how long has this been going? Like, you've been carrying this. I mean, I have no desire to ever go back to my high school reunion. I went to my 20th, maybe. I guess it was my 20th. And, there was like 160 people in my graduating class. There may have been 40, maybe 30 people at the thing, and none of them were necessarily folks I really cared to see. And so I just hadn't been back, and I'm not, I just don't. There's a handful of people that I keep up with from high school, kind of, but for the most part, high school wasn't fun. High school was not good for me. Like I did not enjoy high school. I did not have a good high school experience. And so that's a part of my life I would love to forget. There's lots of parts of my life I'd love to forget, but that's definitely one of them. It was just okay, but it was not anything you'd ever want to relive. It was probably better than some people's high school experience, but a lot worse than others. But it was just odd, that girl. I don't know why I just thought about that, but I guess talking about ex-girlfriends, it kind of, anyway, jumped out at me. Anything else that I had? Let me look. I actually wrote something down this week. I was kind of, as I was listening to things or reading things, I was jotting down some stuff, and I'll do this. Sometimes Beth and I will get to it. Sometimes we do not get to it because we just get sidetracked with other conversations. But there was one thing, and this is what we'll wrap up on. I wrote this down. Beth will have no interest in discussing this because she could care less, but I'm going to discuss it. And if you want to turn it off now, you can. But I'm going to discuss TV theme songs. You heard me right. TV theme songs. So when I was growing up, I was born in 74. So late 70s into the 80s, even into the early 90s, like TV theme songs, everybody knew. Even if you didn't watch the TV show, you knew the theme. People could sing the theme. It was just, you knew it. And now I feel like TV shows either don't have a theme or they're just generic, and there's nothing memorable. There hasn't been a memorable one, probably, or really a memorable one in many, many, many years. So Rolling Stones, I read an article this week. It popped up on my feed, and of course I had to look at it. It said the Rolling Stone magazine top 100 theme songs of all time. Well, of course I do what everybody does. You just skip to the top 10. The rest really doesn't matter. So here was their top 10. Number 10, Too Many Cooks. I don't even know what that TV show is. I have no idea. I could not tell you anything from it. Number 9, The OC. I never watched the show, and I could not tell you the theme song. Number 8, Friends. I think that's one that a lot of people know. Number 7, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Another one that everybody knows. Number 6, Twilight Zone. So obviously they're doing some instrumental type things. So it's not just words. And I think we all know that Twilight theme. If I tried to do it now, I'd probably botch it though. But all of us know it when we hear it. Number 5, they had Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Again, I think that's a song that we all recognize. We may not be able to sing every word of it, but maybe most of it. Let's see here. Number 4, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. It's some CW show. Again, I've never heard of this TV show in my life. So I don't know. You would think if it was a decent show with a decent theme song, at least you would have heard of it. Number 3, another instrumental, Sanford and Sons. That one's classic. Number 2, I thought they cheated here. They had a tie for number 2, which if you're going to have a tie, in my opinion, you can't have 3. It just jumps to 4. That's how it works, people. But they had Gilligan's Island and the Brady Bunch. 2 classics. I think most people, any age, knows those 2 songs. And then their number 1 TV theme song of all time, The Jeffersons. Moving on up. We all know that one. Like, we sing it. And so it got me thinking, obviously I disagree with, at least 3 of their top 10. 3, I've heard of the OC. I could not tell you the song. I've never heard of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend or Too Many Cooks. So I could not tell you I can't tell you what those shows are, much less their songs. So out of their top 10, 7 of them, I know, you know them. But it did get me thinking, like, what are my top 10? Because I'm a sucker for a good TV theme song. I mean, I love it. I mean, there's been times you're going to think this is stupid and this is just me geeking out. But there's been times in the past where I'll pull up Spotify and just put in TV theme songs, and I'll listen to TV theme songs as I'm driving around. I don't know, it's silly and stupid, but some of them are pretty good. So here we go. My top 10 TV theme songs of all time. We're going to start off with 3 honorable mentions. Because all 3 of these they did not make the cut, but if they were 11, A, B, and C. Friends, Fresh Prince were both on the top 10 for Rolling Stones. The Friends theme, the Fresh Prince theme, and I put the Full House theme. I think the Full House theme is also very catchy and one that a lot of people know, especially with Fuller House coming out a few years ago. So anyway, that's my honorable mentions. But my top 10, number 10, Curb Your Enthusiasm. To me, that's a great theme, and it's one that if you know it, you never forget it. You know it when you hear it, kind of like the Twilight Zone. It's just there. Number 9, Greatest American Hero. Now, this is not a super popular TV show. It only lasted maybe 2 or 3 seasons back in the 80s, but it's a song that everybody knows. In fact, Seinfeld, the TV show, even made fun of it one time, using it as George's answer machine. So, Greatest American Hero, if you've never heard that. Number 8, Dukes of Hazzard. That's another classic. I think it was done by Waylon Jennings, I think. So not only a great TV theme song, but done by a professional. Number 7, I said the Addams Family. Again, it's back in popularity because of the TV show Wednesday, but the Addams Family. I said number 6, I put Gilligan's Island. So I bumped them down. I did not think that they were too worthy, but they're there because, the song's fun. We all know it. Now we get into my top 5. Number 5, Seinfeld. That to me goes right up there with Curb and Twilight Zone. It could also fall into Mission Impossible, maybe Star Trek. I mean, some of these theme songs on TV shows that are instrumentals, Sanford and Son, that when you hear it, that's the first thing you think of. The show. You're not trying to think about, okay, now what show was that with? You just know it. And Seinfeld's, just that whole bong, 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 just whatever they were doing, amazing. Number 4, Three's Company. And maybe I'm showing my age here, but Three's Company is amazing. Come and knock on my door. I mean, it just starts off. You got John Ritter riding his bike down the sidewalk, and he looks at a girl and he wrecks. I mean, it's amazing. Three's Company. Number three, I said the Jeffersons. They're top three. I didn't put them number one like Rolling Stone did, but I got them at number three. And my top two, how they're not on the Rolling Stone list, I have no idea. And they're on there, but they're way down. They should be not just top 10, they should be top 5 on every human being's TV theme song list. Number 2, the Golden Girls. Thank You for Being a Friend? What? Come on. Everybody knows that song. And they sing it. They love it. I mean, that's what's golden about that show. I mean, that theme song, you got happy listening to it. You loved it. So it didn't even matter what happened on the show. You just loved the theme song. And then number 1, tell me it's not Cheers. Sometimes I Want to Go Where Everybody Knows My Name. Everybody loves that song. They want that song as part of their life. They sing that as their mantra. I mean, they want not just a bar like Cheers like that. I mean, they want a community like that. They want a church like that. I mean, it's that whole song encompasses what every human being wants, and that's community, that's relationships. Both of those songs do. So that's my top 10 list. Again, Curb Your Enthusiasm, number 10, Greatest American Hero, Dukes of Hazzard, Addams Family at 7, Gilligan's Island at 6, Seinfeld at 5, Three's Company at 4, The Jeffersons at 3, Golden Girls at 2, and Cheers at 1. Take that, Rolling Stone. I read these lists sometimes and I'm just like, who wrote this? Obviously, some millennial wrote that list and included those other shows that nobody's ever heard of that have less than stellar theme songs. But anyway, I gave you the real version. This is the version that should be hanging up in the TV show Hall of Fame, if there is one. But anyway, like I said, Beth would never talk about that because Beth doesn't care about TV shows or theme songs. So I would just be rambling and she'd be like, why are you even talking about this? And I've probably lost 90% of y'all, but there might be a guy or two listening that are listening right now. Now you're humming those songs in your head and you're going to be humming them and you're going to want to go look them up and listen to them. You're going to be playing them for your kids. I just Facts of Life. How about that? That's another great show that had a great theme song. That could be 11D, after Friends and Fresh Prince and Full House. Family Matters. I mean, there's so many that Rolling Stone left off that I couldn't even fit in. So, man, you got a double dose today. You got the dose of Mike's Mount Rushmore of Disney cartoon movies, and you also got Mike's top 10 and more TV theme songs of all time. So I encourage you to go take a listen if you want to. Check those out. And again, this is just a long rambling podcast today. It is a little bit of everything. It's like I said, it's we say that at this podcast, Hey, Are You Still There? Focuses on the intersection of marriage and family and careers and ministry. And that's kind of been it today in a lighthearted, kind of sharing a little bit of my life. And I promise I'll have Beth next time. And I might even see if Beth will just do a solo show and she can yap for an hour and tell you all about her life. But anyway, just to keep plugging away, go follow, if you're not, follow us, review us on any of the podcast sites. We're on, obviously, Apple and Spotify and you name it, we're on there. You can listen to us. You can go to our Facebook page. Please follow us. We always put some updates and stuff on there. We put poll questions on there. Would love to get your feedback. And then also buy the book. The book link is on my Facebook page. It's on our Hey, Are You Still There Facebook page. The name of the book is called Equipped, Fighting from Victory. And so it's sold right now just on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle or print edition. But I hope to have it on Apple at some point. So I'm in the process of getting it on Apple Books. I'm just waiting on them to finish their verification tax stuff. And so as soon as they do that, I'll be able to upload it, and you'll be able to read it, purchase it on there, and then from there, I'll just see where else I can put it. But anyway, thanks a lot for hanging in and listening. If you're still here right now, thank you for hanging in through maybe a very scattered ADHD edition of the Here You Still There podcast. But until next time, and next time, hopefully we'll include Beth, this is Mike, and this has been Hey, Are You Still There?